3-2. I always say it, you always laugh at me. I appreciate you making time for me on the Monday. You keep stacking these wins up. I keep asking the same question. Where is your team now, 7-5?
Well, I think we've taken a step into understanding what physical, consistent football can look like. This one's interesting because if you really look at the stats from the first half, compare them to the second half, you notice first and foremost that we only had about 45 yards rushing in the first half, and we had 130, I think, in the second half. And it just showed to me a little of that consistency we were talking about. We made a commitment to the run, we pounded it, and at the end of it, it really came together for us.
What was that decision-making process like? And I recognize some of it might have been you didn't have Robinson the first month, and your offensive line has kind of undergone some transformations. But at some point along the way, did you and Scott or you and the staff sit down and say, hey, this is where we need to go?
Well, I looking at us and looking at how things were going, the one thing that really, when we got B-Rob back, really pointed to saying, let's get back to this. Now we knew, he played in week 4, 5, and 6, but we knew he wasn't B-Rob yet. And so it was going to be a little bit of time. And then as we got further into it, and the Bears game really kind of showed us, hey, this is the start of who we can be. And it just started coming together and kept coming together and kept coming together.
So talking about Robinson, today is November 28th. August 28th, he's shot twice in an armed robbery attempt. November 28th, he's coming off his best ever game in the NFL, his first ever 100-yard rushing game, a crazy receiving touchdown where he ran a couple people over. You've been in pro football a long time. How impressed are you with that young man coming back from that situation in such a short period of time?
I'm very impressed and very appreciative of it too, because he's such a young guy who really's got a tremendous skill set that can be very, very good in this league. Secondly, his approach to things, telling him, hey, look, just so you understand, we want to be a two-back attack. We have a complement to who you are. So you're not going to be in there 60 plays. You're going to play 35 plays or 40 plays. You may only get 18 to 25 touches. So you got to make the most of, and he accepted that, and he's handled that very well as a young pro, as has Antonio Gibson. I mean, those two guys are the kind of tandem that I talked about when I first got here, wanting to be able to emulate what I've done in the past, because I really do think being able to run the ball well helps your entire team. It helps you offensively, it helps you with your protections, it helps you with your run blocking, it helps the quarterback. It helps your defense, because if you're controlling the time of possession, which we have recently, it keeps them off the field, keeps them fresh, and it means their offense is on the field less.
There was some question yesterday. Gibson kind of seemed to get an extended period of time not out there with the offense. Was there injury concern or anything with Antonio?
No, the big thing with Antonio was we were feeding the ball inside. I mean, if you really go look at it, we had several drives where we ran the ball more than we threw it. And so in doing that, it was, okay, let's pound it. And the other thing too, don't forget, we have Jonathan Williams, who's a young man who we do like as well. So we gave Jonathan a few more opportunities.
He was so good in that Tampa game last year. I feel like people forget about that. Last one on the run game. What'd you think of B-Rob's hat after the game?
I love the hat. I did. In fact, I'm trying to get one of those hats.
I'm sure that could be arranged.
Yeah.
Apparently, he knows the guy that owns the company, so he should get you one.
I hope so.
Ron, if you wear one of those hats, it might break the internet. I mean that sincerely.
Yeah.
What do you say about your defense? You give up only 13 points. You make the play late that you had to get. How good are these guys playing?
I think you guys are playing very well. A little inconsistent in the first half. It's interesting, again, because this was a game of two halves. In the first half, they had 200 yards of total offense. We had a little over 100, and yet it was 10-10. Then we flip it, come back, and we had over 200 yards of offense, and they had 100. I mean, that really kind of shows you how much it changed. Jack and them, I thought, made some great adjustments. I really did, on how to try and handle the quarterback a little bit better. They made those adjustments in the locker room, and offensively, it was continue to be committed to the run. And it really, I think it paid off for us very well.
Is it important for you to, so Mariota was kind of getting you on
Yep.
the outside early in that
Yep.
game. You were able to limit that in the second half. Now you got a home and home with the Giants, and Daniel Jones' athleticism, specifically against the Burgundy and Gold, has showed up in the past. In a way, was it good for you to get a look at that?
Oh, very much so. It's because one of the things that we most certainly will talk about. And knowing, what Coach Dable has done in the past when he was in Buffalo, what he did with Josh up there, we know he's done some of that down here with the Giants. So we most certainly are going to anticipate that. Most certainly are going to work on those things and try and get a feel for it.
How weird of a scheduling quirk is it with this
Well,
setup now?
The truth of the matter is, the difference being is that we actually get a bye week before we play them again.
Right.
And they're going to play. So I don't know if that's to our benefit or to their benefit, but it is a quirk. It is a little bit different. I kind of feel like it benefits us because not only will we have just played the game, but the next game we're preparing is for them. So I think that might benefit us.
Obviously, this week times and everything are set in the Meadowlands. So this week, bye week, the following game is up in the air. Could be Saturday night, could be Sunday at 1. Is there any? Would you prefer a time? Do you want a primetime game?
Honestly, I hate prime time, to be honest with you. I'm a 1 o'clock guy. I love playing at the same time if I could, but I get it. But I do think primetime exposure would be really good for our guys. I really do, because we got a number of guys that are playing quality football that deserve to be recognized by this fan base, by football fans, to see how good some of our defensive linemen are, how solid we are up front on the offense, how well we run the ball. Some of our playmakers. I mean, some of these guys deserve to be recognized.
I think a guy that might land on that list of guys that deserve to be recognized is Jamin Davis.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, his play has leaps and bounds even from the beginning of this year.
Yes.
How proud are you of his growth?
Very, very proud. Very proud. I think Coach Russ has done a terrific job with the linebackers. I think Jack and I understanding how to deal with him. I think in terms of you've got to be hard on him because growing up with military parents, there's a little more structure, a little stricter, a little more demanding, and I think with him that really helps him, and he's handled that very well. He really is, and it's just like, he grew up with that, and so when you push him the right way, he responds, and that's what we've seen. We've seen some really good growth. Is he where we want him to be? Not yet, but is he gaining on it? Most certainly, and so I am proud of him.
Can I just a coach's mindset? How many players are where you want them to be? I imagine you got some that are like, who would you? Maybe John Allen, the way he's playing.
Yeah, John Allen's been tremendous. He really has. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the mindset is you always want to see them better because, I really do believe that we do have room to grow. We talk about in our meetings about what we do, and let's not forget what we do, we can do better. We don't worry about what we can't do. We don't worry about what we don't do. We focus on us, what we do, and doing it better.
First 2 seasons here end with 7 wins. You're at 7 wins and it's not December yet.
Right.
Are you starting to see perhaps more fun, more fans, more fanfare just rallying around the organization?
Yes, we are. I told the story last week. I stopped and got gas. I'm going to be interested to see what happens when I stop to get gas again. But it is kind of cool. It really is to have the folks come up and, hey, you guys doing a great job, coach. Keep going. Hey, we're behind you. We'll be there. That's really cool. It really is. But it's great for our guys because now they see that their efforts, everything that they're doing, everything that they've been working towards, focusing on us as a football team and what we do on the football field has really helped them. Because now when these people see them and they recognize them and they praise them and they pat them on the back, the guys get it. And it just shows that, man, all that hard work, it's being appreciated.
2 more things I want to talk about. Chase Young dealt with that illness. I know it's been going around the locker room. He's still working his way back from the knee. But practices, you've been hesitant to want him out here in the bubble on the turf. This week's game is on some turf in the Meadowlands that doesn't have the best reputation. Is that a factor?
No, it won't be a factor. The factor really is now now that he's getting over his cold, is back on the field. How are you looking on the field? How much confidence are you on the field? That's what we got to do. Young man had a good practice last week, did some really good things. It was encouraging, but it's all part of the rehab because the one thing that Dr. Andrews has really stressed is all the rehab you can do, but it's what you do on the field. That's what's going to help him. So we got to get him on the field. He will, if we're inside, he will practice inside. That's for darn sure.
Last thing, you won your 100th NFL game as a head coach, and you are not the type you're not a braggadocious type, I don't believe. That's a real accomplishment. Do you allow yourself a moment to think about what that, I mean, you start entering into different discussions when you have 100 wins as an NFL head coach.
Well, to me, it's really cool just because I've had a lot of great players around me, guys that have played for us, that have done some good things, guys that, eventually I think will be in the Hall of Fame. And to me, that's really cool. I've had some really good coaches that I've worked with that have done a great job, that have helped me to get to where I am. And we've had some tremendous support people around us. So I look at it as an accomplishment that we've had. That the people that have worked with me have helped me to get to where I am today. And I feel very fortunate. I really do. It really is cool.
Your accomplishments in Carolina obviously stand on their own, but here, as somebody who's born here, been out here a long time now, you bring a stability and a calm that is rarely seen here. And I don't know that you can recognize it in the moment, but hopefully that adds to kind of what you've created here, and I know what you've been trying to build.
Well, and that's exactly it, JP, is we want to understand that no matter what else is happening, the most important thing we can do is do our jobs on the field. And so it's one of the lessons I got from my father. My dad was an Army officer in the United States Army. And when I got the head coaching job in Carolina, one of the first things he told me, he said, Ronnie, when things are going crazy, when things are going bad, everybody's going to look at you. And if you're out of control, losing it, your players will be out of control, they'll lose it. But if you're calm, if you're collected, and you're going forward, they'll get behind you. And that's what I strive for, is to at least present that, so that no matter what this is, right here, we're in it.
7-5, 6 out of 7. It seems like something's working. Thank you very much for the time, Ron.
Thanks, JP.